another wonderful soundguyspodcast.com. The soundguyspodcast.com.
Check us out.
Sound guys.
How you doing? How you feeling? We're still working, surprisingly. No, we're not going back to that one.
That's how I feel.
You feel salacious?
I feel
salacious.
That's worrisome.
Rephrase that. I feel
Wonderful.
Oh, there we go. That's much better. Much better.
what's up, neighborhood Nick? We're going.
Week 3.
I know, man.
Where are we at? We're not in Austin, Amarillo, or Tulsa now. Let's go north.
Yeah, we're in
Detroit.
No, I can't. It's in Wyoming. We're in
St. Paul, Minnesota.
No.
It'd be freezing. Very cold.
I can't believe I forget what that place is called.
Cheyenne, Wyoming?
No. Jackson Hole. That's the place.
We're in Jackson Hole.
Wyoming. Yeah, man, that's where all the big money conferences are. You've never got a chance to do any of those.
No, you don't
Sadly,
take me.
I don't think that we may ever get to do the Jackson Hole conference ever again anyways.
Don't take me to all the cool stuff.
Sorry, Nick. That was a union thing, but unions are no more either. But
No.
But Google unioned up.
Google, yep.
Man, good for them.
Google finally made a union.
What was the employees? It wasn't, I'm sure the management didn't want that. So
The union because Google fired a black engineer.
Okay. Why?
Black woman engineer.
Ooh, why?
Let me see if I can find that real quick.
You don't fire a woman. You don't fire a woman that's black, especially if they're an engineer, because it took you some time to get there.
Engineers that's a tough gig.
So something, yeah. No, that's all bad. No, but Jackson Hole, Wyoming is where they had they used to have the annual Fed conference. And I don't think they did 2020. They did 2020 in virtually. The whole stupid conference was a virtual.
Really?
Yep, the whole federal conference.
All right, I found the story.
What? Okay.
The announcement. Okay, so Google said it would continue engaging directly with all our employees. We've always worked hard to create a supportive and rewarding workplace for our workforce. Director of People's Operations said in a statement, "Of course, our employees have protected labor rights that we support, but as we've always done, we'll continue engaging directly with all our employees." The announcement of the Alphabet, that's the parent company to Google,
right.
Alphabet Workers Union, comes weeks after Google's firing of a high-profile black artificial intelligence and ethics researcher generated uproar. I don't necessarily know if that's a generator, but it's a researcher or engineer. The U.S. National Labor Relations Board also recently ruled the firm had unlawfully fired employees for attempting to organize a union. Staff have also mobilized against the firm's, quote, Project Maven, work with the Department of Defense and the company's handling of sexual harassment complaints. The union builds upon years of courageous organizing by Google workers. Nikki Anselmo, program manager, said in the announcement, "From fighting the real names policy to opposing Project Maven to protesting the egregious multi-million-dollar payouts that have been given to executives who've committed sexual harassment, we've seen firsthand that Alphabet responds when we act collectively. Our new union provides a sustainable structure to ensure that our shared values as Alphabet employees are respected even after the headlines fade." The group was organized by a software engineer, but is open to all ranks at the company's U.S. and Canadian workforce, including temp workers and contractors. It is affiliated with the larger labor group, Communication Workers of America, but is not seeking formal recognition from the federal government, limiting its bargaining power. It represents a small fraction of Alphabet's workforce, which includes more than 130,000 people as of September, and roughly as many contractors, vendors, and temporary staff. Members who join will contribute about 1% of their compensation to the effort. We want Alphabet to be a company where workers have a meaningful say in decisions that affect us and the societies we live in, organizers have written on Twitter. That's from the BBC Technology section.
I'm familiar with this a little bit.
You know, I find these is funny to me.
Why?
So, are you familiar with Project Maven?
Yes.
So, Project Maven, that's the Department of Defense. That apparently is too much for the people at Google. This is the same company that had Operation Dragonfly.
Right.
Familiar with that one?
I am.
But there was no conflict, there was no issues with Project Dragonfly.
Okay.
Project Dragonfly is also when Google decided to change their Don't Be Evil standard.
Huh?
Are you familiar with that one? Just don't be evil.
Google changed the stance? No. Enlighten me on this one.
So the Don't Be Evil thing, originally that was like back in the day, Google, I think it was Google. It was either Google or Twitter or something like that. But they just basically, their announcement thing, don't be evil. Like, don't be an evil government censoring information. Don't be an evil corporation. Don't be evil, blah, 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 blah. But they decided to ditch out on don't be evil when they started Operation Dragonfly. For those of you who are not familiar at all with this crap, Operation Dragonfly was when Google got kicked out of China. So they were trying to create a form of Google that actually would censor information, in particular about the Tiananmen Square massacre, anything about the Uyghur persecution and genocide happening, or the organ harvesting of Falun Gong members. Lots of things, a lot of morbid, kind of scary things that would look horrifying for the Chinese Communist Party. But when Operation Dragonfly started, that's when they decided to ditch Don't Be Evil anymore. And now they are trying to get back into the Chinese market. So I find that very interesting. The other things, I think those are serious. The sexual harassment charges, that's an important thing. But when they're complaining about the Department of Defense with Project Maven, it's like the United States Department of Defense, but you're fine working with the Chinese Communist Party, which has killed millions of people, enslaved and genocidal people, organ harvesting.
I think that, okay, yeah, I can understand
That's ridiculous.
I can understand your outrage on that one. This is a family show. So,
I know. I'm opinionated.
you know, but I don't think that was her. I don't think that was her deal. I think that was higher up.
Yeah.
So if we isolate it to the handling of her situation, I think Google's way in the wrong.
No, I agree.
They handled this horridly.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the authority on AI. I mean, she's up there.
Yeah.
And you know how they did it. I mean, how they fired her. I was looking at the CNBC article. I mean, how they fired her. It just seems to me like it was like a Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, she was on vacation.
Yeah.
And they send her an email from some rando email account that's like, hey, by the way, you're terminated, while she's on vacation. While she's also on vacation, they cut access to her company accounts. Like, so she's cut off.
Yeah.
All because she just wanted, she voiced some opinion. Hey, man, I'd like to have a little bit of change. That seems crazy draconian.
Oh, no, definitely.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've... like a few of the council members we've worked with, they're like, well, I've $1 million companies, and well,
do you know business?
Do you know business?
I've worked in business.
I've worked in business. I ran a printing press.
That's a great inside joke. I'm sorry for all you people
well,
who have no idea what we're talking about.
And I hope the person that watches and realizes the joke really wasn't directed at you. It's just, I mean, it's just...
You just happen to say it a lot.
Yeah, we have verbal tics. It's okay. No problem. And by the way, thanks to our sponsors at Coca-Cola.
Please send us money.
We love your products.
We're doing a free product placement here, guys. Come on now.
Dude, it's the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Wait, I think that's someone else. The great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. I should have voice texted that. That's Bud Light. Oops.
We don't do Bud Light.
No, this is Coke. What's the slogan for Coke? Ugh, really? That's what you came up with, you morons? Delicious, exclamation point, refreshing.
Delicious.
It's so boring that they didn't even put it on the cans. They're like, oh, it's original taste. The cans don't even say delicious or refreshing. Gosh, you guys suck. But then again, I mean, you've been in business. Actually, though,
They've been around for a long time, though.
wasn't it Coca-Cola that like crashed a couple weeks ago? Coca-Cola stock. I think they were the main reasons for the big Dow drop. Yeah, they well, whatever. They recovered a bit. It was back on January 4th. They pumped out. They lost 3% in one day. Man, whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. I thought it was. But yeah, delicious, refreshing. Whatever. I'm not even going to go off on that because I might offend some people. But dude, you make a great product. It, rots your teeth, cleans blood off the cement.
Disintegrates steak.
Yeah, according to the
It's great for scientific experiments.
Oh my gosh, this is an all-purpose product. Clean your toilets, man.
And it's delicious.
Oh man.
Delicious. Refreshing.
I think that charger on the desk has a problem. So we wanted to give a special shout out to the Comfort Inn, the Comfort Suites, for hosting and hanging out with us. But you do need to look at your in-room accommodations because your charging ports seem to have a problem. I keep on hearing my phone go blong, blong, because it just can't get quite the proper voltage. And, well, that's concerning. So just fix it. So back to
Google's Union.
Was that what we were talking about?
And how they fired the
Right. Well, that's
researcher.
It's going to drive me absolutely nuts. I know our folks at home cannot hear that phone screaming for death, just screaming out loud, saying, "Help me! I am being choked by inappropriate voltage. Help me! Help me!"
They don't care.
I will get to that phone shortly, but I want to end it with this, and then I'll let neighborhood Nick jump back on. Did we introduced, right? We said hello and we said hi and all that stuff. Yeah, we said hi.
I think so.
And I'm Crispin Smith, and your neighborhood Nick.
Yeah.
Wow.
If not, then we have now.
Now you know. If I was running, I don't know. I mean, so this is all hypothetical. I mean, and I would hope that the 2021 me would, well, the high power, multi-million management company me would remember the 2021 Sound Guys podcast me. But I think that this was totally wrong.
I agree.
And I think that someone at that higher of a level, you are very well aware, even if you have thousands of employees, you are very well aware of who, or you should be at least, if you're half a good at what you do, if you're in a position to fire someone, you should know your support. I mean, you should know who's if it's especially research, if it's especially design and the things that are part of learning projects, because that's a really great thing about staying current is your R&D.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly staying ahead of the curve and trying, that's the reason why those conferences were such big things. When you had NAB and NAM and the toy show and all these different things that come out, people will get a chance to go and look and see what's up and coming to get ideas. And so that's the product of good R&D. But all that awesome stuff comes out of the mind of your researchers and your top tier people. And you should know them. And furthermore, you just don't fire them with the flip of a pen.
No.
That's nuts. So I genuinely think, I mean, unless there's more that comes out, it sounds to me like she knew too much about something. I don't know. I don't want to be the conspiracist.
No, I think that's a fair assessment because she wasn't a low-ranking member.
No.
This is not low. If it was a low-ranking member, that's one thing.
Sure.
But this is someone who's, that's not an easy job. That's a difficult job to do. You're specially trained for those types of things. In all honesty, given how 2020 was, this could be just Google trying to censor out something.
Yeah, if we want to play the conspiracist key card, I could see that. I mean, I could really see, because I mean,
I'm not even sure if it's really conspiracy theory anymore, because big tech, this is their new calling card lately, is to censor out information or what they deem as misinformation.
yeah.
And so we're starting to see no one knows the Google's algorithms at all besides Google.
Right.
And so the search engine results and everything, call it as it is. Google is...
That is an email.
Oh,
Remember
you're
in-
customizing notifications.
Yeah, remember in the previous episode talking about how, that's an email.
But so I would say Google has a definite monopoly on search engine.
Right.
I mean, people still, like, I use Bing just because I don't want to be like everyone else with Google. And I think Bing uses a little less RAM than Google also.
No, it has nothing to do with it. Bing doesn't use RAM. You're talking about Edge.
Yes. Microsoft.
Bing isn't a browser. Bing is a search tool.
Yes.
Oh, Nick.
I like Bing.
Yeah. But that's...
It's better than Google.
No, it's not.
I think so.
Google is a superior search engine. Bing...
For now. Because it has a monopoly on everything, because everyone uses Google.
Well, Bing has its things. I think Bing is better as an image search tool. I think Bing has a good cross-referencing algorithm for that. I think Bing has... it's more instant if you're trying to use it as a visual teaching tool. But I think if you're looking for actual data in a researching standpoint, you use Google. But I think from a visual element, Bing is superior. I think I think they're trying to craft different niches. At least that's my hope.
And it could be.
But to help Neighborhood Nick out of the hole he dug, it's Chrome and Edge. Those are the two browsers he's referring to. Chrome is extremely memory intensive, your RAM, whereas Edge, very lightweight.
There we go.
I'm using Edge right now, and because that's what Windows 10 pushes on you. And looks like Windows Edge is using, and of course, also Windows 10 changed over this wretched task manager, so you really can't get an accurate. I think maybe it's using 350 megs of RAM. I don't know, because they rank it now in, which is so frustrating. They break it down into background processes and then apps. But then the background processes are all, set up that are running that are just dormant. Mm-hmm. And it's just really a pain. It's a pain to look at because the old task manager was
superior.
Whatever. Microsoft, we got bones.
But anyway, we'll get to Microsoft later. But I do think that there is some censorship going on with Google and big tech in general, where they want to just... I mean, they are... I would say big tech in general is the new teacher of the mind. So whatever they say will probably be what people actually know and remember and believe.
Oh, there it is. I heard you, but I want to finish my thing. So go to details. Screw that processes tab. Go to details, and then under details, you can find the memory tree. Tap the memory tree in ascending order, and then you can see what's cracking. And yeah, I see what they did under the processes, because there are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 instances of Microsoft Edge running, all at different varying demands of memory power, just like Chrome does. But I'm only seeing, a maximum of use maybe 400 megs of RAM. So, I mean, probably in this whole new fast track way of browsing, they run multiple instances of the browser to probably speed up the experience, I'm sure. That's probably something to do with... I don't know anything about it, honestly, but I mean, that I've seen that to be that's the new thing. Yeah. You get a lot of instances, even though you may have one tab open, there's like 20 Chromes open. Yeah. So, but no, I see what you're saying in terms of the So, what were you saying? I mean, you said that Google.
Basically, I think Google, big tech in general.
Oh, right.
That
Right.
Especially with this firing, because I agree that this is wrong.
Oh,
It was done extremely. They tried to do it secretly. They didn't want it to be out in the open and everything.
I remember now.
But I think there was some form of like trying to prevent her from either knowing something or prevent her from sharing something.
Right. Right.
But that's just in general with big tech lately. It seems that they are just fine with censoring out information that they don't want the general public to know, because whatever they say, in this day and age especially, where everyone is either just Googling things, getting most of their news from Twitter and Facebook, or just basic information from YouTube.
Right.
They're just going to use those, and so whatever they say, that's probably what people are going to believe and know.
I think the intentions were pure at its infancy. This is
Back in like 2010.
correct. I think that, like everything, and I've said this before, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Too much of a bad thing is an extremely great thing. Yeah, I know. Chew on that for a bit. So in this, when you had Google, they had to come up with a way to, first off, there are people that just love to categorize. Like I've said previously, I love to make systems. I love to find things that are like all put together.
Yeah.
That's great. I could do that all day. Love it.
Yeah.
So there are some people, that's just how they're wired. So you get a group of guys or gals that are, hey man, I want to catalog ideas and thoughts and things on the internet, or whatever this thing we call the web, because we didn't call it the internet back then, whatever. And they do it.
www.
Right. Remember that thing with, what was his name? Bryant Gumbel, Katie Couric. That's great. Google it. Go into YouTube, Bryant Gumbel, Katie Couric. They're reading off an email address for the first time. But, excuse me, thanks. By the way, thanks Coca-Cola. You really bring out the bubbles. I love that. It was just like with Jeff Bezos and Amazon. What was his focus? Customer service. The customer. Yep. Even though that's the core value, I want to say, or that's the culture of your company, sometimes things have to break. There has to be compromise made if the company is to remain profitable based on all the other baggage. Think of it as a more micro analogy. One of our attorneys, yes, we have attorneys, and he's doing well, okay? Now, and you know who this one is. And then all of a sudden he has to care for his mother. And then he has to care for his sister. And then he has to care for his sister's dog. And then he has to care. You see, just because he's still making the same level of money, he's doing great for himself, and he's doing great for his initial circle. But now all of a sudden he has more baggage. He has more obligation. And so he has to care for all of these added individuals. That is kind of the pitfall of businesses. Let me even take it to another level. My German grandmother, you've never met her, she's dead now. She came from Germany, passed out, that's how we had the citizenship thing. And I don't know what the heck, she just basically got a job at Rayleigh's. And she worked at Rayleigh's and retired at Rayleigh's. Now check this out. She got a retirement plan that gave her some astronomical discount at Rayleigh's. Mm-hmm. Like she was able to get like 50% off everything anytime she bought. So not only did she get her retirement from Rayleigh's, because it was a great retirement package.
Yeah.
She also got to go continue to shop at Rayleigh's, get that employee discount plus some senior silver discount.
Which is nice.
And it was amazing to me. I remember growing up, because we'd be in the one up, not Carmichael, one of the Rayleigh's up in Carmichael. We'd go in there because she lived in El Dorado Hills, and we'd come down to Carmichael, and the new cashiers were like, how do we honor this? Because as the new POS system came in, as the new systems came in, her program was harder and harder to honor, because Rayleigh's could no longer price in that level of care for their employees. Mm-hmm. The program was obviously retired. The program never, nowadays I'd be hard pressed to find a Rayleigh's executive or retiree that even knows what I'm talking about. Okay? So the point is, Rayleigh's could no longer support that. but the expectation of the employee has always still been the same. And I genuinely think that's the reason why I'm kind of worried about. Professionally, I'm worried about trying to be able to love employees, love our vendors, love who we work with, but at the same time be able to pay the bills, pay the taxes, and keep the company profitable. That's what scares me the most, because honestly, I care about our people enough. I want to see them succeed. If they want to go off and do their own thing, great. But if they'd rather just hang out and have fun, then dude, think about it. I mean, you're banking, no, it's not great money every once in a while, but I mean, you get gig money and you don't have to do a dang thing with it. Because it's the company's equipment, it's the company's food, it's the company's room and board, it's the company's gas most of the time.
I get to learn, I get to hang out.
It's literally free money in exchange for your time. Yeah. I mean, and you have every right to take the information and run with it.
Teach me
and do what you want with it.
Work with it.
So, in that essence, Amazon had to find a way to keep the customer service going. So same with Google. And I don't know. I'm literally just hypothesizing on all of this. Yeah. I'm not backing this off of anything except just my opinion. But Google, as a search engine, they had to maintain what they originally stuck out to do, and that was to catalog the World Wide Web and provide accurate results and be the authority of search.
Yeah.
That was the goal. But then when they really started realizing there's so many other things connected to search, that's when they had to start Alphabet. That's when they had to really branch it out and start realizing, no, the Internet of Things, the Internet of life is going to be a bigger thing than just Google. And we need to be able to differentiate between those two brands, or now all the brands that they have.
Yeah.
It's actually the same thing we've done with the companies we work for. Because, I mean, like, you can't do all of these things under one company. You can't call yourself... Because, I mean, like, well, unless you're just so big that you just become super esoteric in terms of your name. But, like, we're not a war company, but, like, Halliburton, as far as I know, Halliburton... no, who was it? Oh, yeah, that... Here's a page 2. Super esoteric name. Bechtel. Bechtel, right? Dude, but that company is honestly so I had a privilege of talking to one of the guys. He was a buyer for Bechtel. Okay. And he's the next door neighbor that ran the costume shop.
Oh, okay.
And dude, like those guys, and so they're private war contractors, kind of. But they basically what they would do is they would build bases for offshore oil rigs and all that jazz. So they would literally, and this is like, I mean, this is very back in the day. They'd rape and pillage the land, obviously, but they would do it kind of humanely. So they would evaluate a landing zone. They would literally drop guys down on helicopters with chainsaws to level the land, create a landing zone, drop another helicopter, bring out developing equipment. They would develop the landing zone. They'd build bases. They'd take all the little trees and they'd turn them into things. And they would literally, just like a video game, develop this whole thing. And this was all owned by the company. Oh. Bechtel did all of it. Now they had some vendors and things like that, but as far as I know, they were their own construction, they're their own security, they're their own weaponized, they're their own military. They did
everything.
They were everything. But they were so big and the contracts were so big that it didn't matter. For a smaller company, much smaller, you kind of have to have what you do in the name. You know, because I mean, it's like, Billy's printing. Okay, well, that's a printing shop. You know, do you guys make baseball cards? It was close enough, but no. You know, do you guys make clothing? No. You know what I mean? So I mean, but so Google and Alphabet, they had to start kind of getting out of touch, I think, and that's where this whole employee relationship thing stems from. Hit that mic again. I don't think that they're trying to censor. I think what they had to do is they realized, hey, we created this mess. It's our platform. Screw them. We're going to do what we need to do in our best interest now because we've got 80,000, 200,000 mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And we've got shareholders that we have to be honest to. We have people that have banked into this company that we have to be accountable to. So screw the end user. And it's not like that. It's not like they were mad about it. Because, I mean, the end user is still going to be happy with the results because 9 out of 10 people that use Google are just going to take the first hit anyways and run with it as gold.
Yeah.
They're not going to dig on it. So I don't think it's malicious censoring. I don't think any of that's like, oh, we're out to go get these guys. I think it's just the nature of unfortunate business. Now, does that mean that we need to have a vigilante who's going out there trying to correct? No, I don't. I think we need to have people that are more free thinkers and people that actually, but that goes back also to our thing about where video is becoming the new. We're spending more time watching disposable entertainment that has no value or no substance.
True. I think that's very true.
So if we just absorb that,
stupid cat videos.
Well, yeah, and there's a time and a place for all of that. But if the pie chart of your day only is 75% full of cat videos, what have you learned? I think that's really just the factor of like going back to goals. What do you set up to accomplish today?
Yeah.
And I mean, I make the joke, yeah, at least I put on my pants today because I'm so depressed. No, it's like no, but you see how I'm saying? It's like you have to have something to do. If there's no direction, there's no goal for the day.
Yeah.
Well, then why bother? I'll just flip on Netflix and don't get me again. I do not want our listeners to think, oh, this guy's such a square. No, dude, enjoy your content. Go out there. I mean, and again, I appreciate you sticking with us. I appreciate you listening and letting us be your weekly dose of background noise. I appreciate that. I love it. I love you guys. But I am also saying that probably because you're listening to us, you are a little bit more higher functioning, I would hope. I mean, if you're not, that's cool too. You can get there. But goals, self-affirmation, just having a positive outlook. Yeah. So to really make it full circle, no, I don't know. I don't think there's anything. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's intentional censorship. I genuinely just think it's like, hey, you know what? What's being said here is going to drive people away from our platform. I don't want it anywhere near my stuff. Period.
Could be.
Because I need advertising dollars.
Yeah.
I need people to spend still. And also, that's the reason why I haven't bought any Google ads for the company either. Because I don't get any results right now. It's impossible to tell who's looking for what. We have a website that barely converts, but it does still convert organically.
Yeah.
Very rarely, but there are people that find it and people that, reach out. So that's working. But we've gotten 0 hits on any Google ads we've done right now because the whole thing is upside down. And Google knows it. Yeah. And that's how Google makes money. I don't know. That's just food for thought. But clearly, I've bored neighborhood Nick. Hopefully our viewers at home, you haven't listened to these.
I'm not bored.
These poor sound guys. Like these sound guys. We're talking about politics and Googles and drinking their highfalutin red can Cokes that are delicious, refreshing, which I still think is the most stupidest. Coke, come on, really? I mean, why? If that's the case, why don't you just make it?
When you go to a movie theater and they have that opening ad, that's typically what it is.
Did you see the canceled Coke ads where they showed the polar bears playing, and then the polar bear accidentally got hungry and ripped open that gazelle? It was all blood everywhere. Oh, it was
refreshing, delicious.
It was refreshing. It was delicious. Man, I can't believe it's just nothing like a good can of Coke. All right. So, but what was that your point, or were you disagreeing? Well,
I see what you're saying and everything, and I don't know. I do lean. Maybe I should change from neighborhood Nick to mysterious Nick to sometimes conspiracy Nick, because I unfortunately I do believe some of the conspiracies when it comes to big tech.
Well, you have to.
And especially Google. And that's just because, for me, with Google and everything, it always comes back to the political realm for me, because that's like my main focus is politics. And Google has a massive, massive influence in politics. Mm-hmm. Massive influence. And so, in regards to this, with the firing of the employee and everything, it could be something just as typical practice for Google, because this apparently isn't really the first time that a strange firing has happened like this. Right. They seem to have a record of doing things like this. So it could just be, in that sense, Google just got tired of this person, is like, whatever, go away, be gone, we're done with you. Or it could be something more mischievous, more deadly. So I could see it go in many directions, really. It could be something just, whatever. Or it could be something deep and scandalous. But I don't know. I don't really know. I think Google in of itself is too massive of a company at this point.
Well,
I think they have too much influence over everything.
Well, yeah. That's kind of like what I was arguing.
And they know where everything is and everywhere where people are.
I don't know. For folks that are, why do I sound so far away from my microphone? I am deciding to plug in my battery because, it's actually given me probably a good solid 5 hours of life, and it's now screaming at me to
charge me.
Please put something on it.
Charge me.
Probably needed to. Is that the voice it makes, Nick? It's like something else. Please, can I have some more? Please, sir, I want some more. So, I don't know. I mean, part of me, yeah, I guess you want to say, here we go again. It's all going to be bad news.
Well, we don't know. We don't honestly know. I mean, this is the result now. It has been this 200-person union gig.
Well,
which I don't honestly know with a company like Google if a union is actually going to be beneficial. Mm-hmm. It could get, especially that small of a union, 200 people union at Google. I'm not sure if it's going to have any major influential power over the policies and procedures of the company. It could send a statement. I personally don't believe in unions having as much power as people think. I think that unions can abuse money very well and influence things in a very negative direction.
Well, okay, I'll agree with that to an extent. I was working at a freight company, names to go unmentioned, but it ended with an S. And anyway,
I wonder which one that could be.
But the union there, they were protective of the employees, but also what was frustrating was that the employees that chose to game the system had all the leverage and leeway to do that.
Yeah.
If they didn't, they quite literally would not even bother working. I'm still on my break. Well, it's time to work. Well, it's okay. Whatever. I'm just lay here. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
It's like no, I'm just gonna do this because I can.
Yeah.
I was aghast. Actually, did I use that word right? Let's see.
You're aghast?
I was aghast. Yeah, filled with horror and shock.
Aghast.
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 Aghast. Because no, seriously, they would just do nothing, and the union protected that. But I don't think I want to get on a union hate thing, because in entertainment, the union has done a good thing for a lot of. You're going to find a lot of pro-union voices, especially in film.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because, from a union standpoint, the Brotherhood allows us to make sure that, hey, if it's a union job, we know that we're going to get a dedicated rate. We know that we're going to get stable hours. We know there's going to be certain consistencies in place. There's going to be food. There's going to be breaks. There's going to be safety. No one's going to be touching my crap.
Yeah.
Don't touch my lights.
True.
Don't touch my lights.
Which can be beneficial immensely.
It is.
But I think it also really depends on, like for us, for example, for some of our working style. You and I have a very similar working style where we don't really want to take a break. We want to get crap done.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. But at the same time,
there needs to be a healthy balance between everything.
The level of gigs we take, too, vary significantly in their dollar amount. Mm-hmm. Because we take a gig based more on its merit, its interest, how much fun is it, our availability at the time.
The project in general, if it's an interesting project.
Yeah, but a union gig doesn't matter. It's always a flat, this is what's going on, this is what's happening.
Which is fine.
And also,
we're not dissing that for people. We're not dissing that.
And there's continuity in also equipment. That's another beautiful thing. A buyer could, this laptop has some chips on it. A buyer could be like, hey man, well, at least back in the day, at least it should have been. If Paramount or Paramount or Sony Telepictures or someone they're buying through a smaller production house that's union, they know they're getting specific continuity and equipment. It's going to be a network-ready camera. We were going to talk about this. It was going to be a network-ready camera. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, grip, production-approved equipment, stuff that, hands are going to be there. Because the thing is this, when the money is on the set, the money doesn't necessarily know how to do the job. The money needs to just be able to look at brands and equipment and personnel and say, okay, I know that this is going to go well. Mm-hmm. And it's based on the demeanor of the set, the punctuality, the equipment on hand.
Yeah.
When things don't look quite right, the money gets concerned, and then the money reports back to the buyer.
Yeah.
And then the company's on the coals. They're ragging them across the coals. You better
make us money.
And that really actually, I don't want to segue, but it could segue. It really brings me into this whole nightmare we've been having with the Blackmagics, the Pocket Cinemas, the 6Ks. Because
great camera.
It's okay. But it can do a lot more. So one of my goals, I'm looking for something very specific. And I'm looking for a very specific color. And the thing is also I feel like a lot of the content we do is run and gun.
Yeah.
Has to be run and gun. You can't set it up. Even this, I mean, there's a lot of ways to have made this whole setup better in terms of its lighting. We probably could have turned out the lights, actually probably killing that light and killing this one here probably would have significantly improved, maybe. But getting more control of the room, making things more even. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to look it back. That little screen is so small, so small. But things like that you have to set up, especially with the black with cinema grade cameras. You have a take, and the take is you're gonna make sure your light, your audio, the blocking, everything is ready to roll, and it's perfect, and away we go. Well, we do a lot of run and gun, or even the live broadcast kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the live broadcast, we can dial that in, no problem, get the lighting good, and call it. It's very safe, very washed out. Not washed out, but you know what I mean. It's very safe wash.
Yes.
It's not. It's properly exposed.
It's clean. It's a clean
look. Stop it. It's good to go. But I still am having problems with the pocket cameras because they I know they can deliver a good look, but I don't know if it's the right tool for the run and gun. And I see it as a production camera more than I see it as a run and gun kind of ENG, like what they call, like the over the shoulder or the X70. But more troubling talking about unions, more troubling talking about industry in general, is how they approve, say, network-approved cameras. I'll talk about this just briefly, but like in film, anything, I don't know if the standards have changed, but in film, anything that needs to be accepted into the Academy for an award would have to be shot on specific equipment. It does not matter on the content of your piece. It doesn't matter. I mean, acting, anything. It wasn't shot on these cameras. That's the first criteria, and it has to be shot on Cine Alta or a Panavision and or an Arri. Those are the three, as far as I know, cameras that are Academy accepted. The Red, very popular, but I don't think that's an Academy accepted. The Panasonic VariCam, great camera. That's a network approved camera for a lot of shows on TV. Not an Academy approved camera. In fact, I think the VariCam is what they use on a lot of CBS productions. And it's whatever. But so Netflix came out with its recent approval of all of their network approved cameras. Blackmagic was on there, but it was the Ursa. And a lot of folks, they get kind of like, well, then what's the point of the Pocket 6? Because the Pocket 6 has a lot of the same characteristics and the same sensor to an extent and the same dynamic range. But because it's like, $1,000 to $2,000 cheaper, they're not going to choose it. Why? It needs to be that money you spend. So that, again, that comes back to a network executive or someone who's the money. If they saw that little camera, oh well, there's no way. There's no way that can do it.
But if you had the cube of something.
Actually, what was that? And actually, I just remember this Panasonic new Netflix approved Mini, because Netflix,
they're taking a chance and
they
pushing the envelope.
They just approved a very I just saw this on one of my little forums. Look at the size of this guy. They just I'm on a plug. See that? And look at that small thing.
That is very small.
That's a Mini. So Netflix just approved, what was this? This is getting old now, but it was December 17th, 2020. It's the Panasonic BGH1. And it's the first Micro Four Thirds camera, which is Netflix approved. Now, to help clarify for those who kind of want to understand what the heck we're talking about, Micro Four Thirds, all that is just a lens mount. So that's the size of the lens. So the little hole that attaches from the lens to the camera, that's the mount. And it's a bayonet style mount. And that means bayonet, you stick it in, you give it a twist, and there it goes. So the commons are like a B4. B4 mounts typically your typical cinema, or PL is Sony, EF is Canon, Micro Four Thirds is Panasonic, and also Blackmagic. Blackmagic actually, which is cool, Blackmagic does all four. I mean, like, we don't care. Pick your favorite lens system, rock and roll. But that's fascinating, because that goes to show, we're like, well, Micro Four Thirds sensors can't do nothing. No, they actually can. The sensor size with the right setup can actually deliver great content, and Netflix just said it. So I don't know what more proof you need that a Micro Four Thirds Blackmagic 6K can't do what the Micro Four Thirds Panasonic can. Plain and simple. Except for the fact that, again, it
doesn't have the right name.
It's a more expensive
maybe the
camera.
Right price, yeah.
And that's really where, again, the unions can sometimes do a disservice because you're looking at a camera that, man, this is super. And again, what I look at is the dynamic range, hands down. What if anyone's out there with money to burn, you simply look at that camera you want to buy and you say, what is the dynamic range of? So like if I type in, what is the dynamic range of, let's say, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, 6K, and they say the 6K only has 13 stops. And that very well may be true, okay? And then you say, what is the dynamic range of, say, the Sony A7, which that seems to be killing it. Oh, wait, they say only 12 stops. Well, you want the higher number. Maybe it's is it A7R? Yeah, it's the A7R. Yeah, 15 stops. So the Sony A7R has 15 stops of a dynamic range, which is insane. This little tiny, DSLR, mirrorless.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to invest money in that if I was going to buy all over again, honestly. If the look is that good, and you get that tight of a range in terms of exposure, because like I said, for run and gun, what sucks is that's where that really comes in for a run and gun setup. Your highlights are always blown out. Your shadows are always too dark because you're in these really contrasty situations. It's impossible to get extra light to fill in, or it's impossible to have a second person with a silk running around, diffusing light. No. So you're either chasing the best light you can find, which is all you can do, or you get a camera with a better dynamic range that then allows you to fix a lot of that in post.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking the solution is. But as of right now, I mean, yeah, the Pocket's great. It's great, but it's not. I'm just having a hard time with it.
I see it.
I mean, that's kind of.
I've seen it. It's been fun. I think it's still a pretty decent camera, though, in comparison for price and everything.
That's funny. My wife knows my hiccups. She knows that because I told her we had Popeyes, and she goes, "Sorry, did you get the hiccups?" Yeah, you might. Yeah, she knows that if I eat chicken, sometimes chicken just messes with me. Oh well. Did you hear the text notification?
No.
You didn't. Yeah. See, if you look at another episode, I choose the most boring. Yeah, the text notifications, which is I gotta fix that. The email notification is insanely loud, but the text notification is a nice little clunk.
That was very loud.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really into the customizations, but it is what it is.
Meanwhile, I'm very much into customizations,
Dude,
which we talked about before.
we talked about that. So going back to your whole China thing,
with censorship.
you were basically trying to go down the rabbit hole that you think the big tech is trying to be in bed with China. To be in bed with China, they have to play the game of censorship.
Well, with Google, yes. If Google wants to get back into the China market, they would have to censor out information that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, does not want its people to know, such as 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre, Uyghur Muslim persecution and genocide, concentration camps in Xinjiang, even the repression that's been going on in Hong Kong, things of that Falun Gong persecution under Jiang Zemin and continual organ harvesting.
Right.
These are very hotbed topics.
Not Oregon, but organ.
Organs like the heart, the kidneys. Tens of thousands of people have died because of this. It's even gone to a human rights tribunal, and it's not good. But these are important things that are supposedly and wanting to be repressed in China. So if Google wants to get in there, they have to censor out that information from Google search results, in essence.
Right.
And so, like, if you go, it's actually very interesting. If you type in, like, Tiananmen Square in Google, you'll get pictures of Tiananmen Square. You might find the infamous Tank Man picture and everything like that. For those of you who aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, Tank Man is in Tiananmen Square one man who stood against the line of tanks and wasn't good. But
Tank Man.
But then in China, hey, there you go. There's a notification. Is that a text one?
No, I'm changing it now to email because it was just too
loud.
It was too loud. I can't. I don't know how to turn it down.
But
Sorry.
if you go into China and you use the Chinese search engine, oh man, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Jing Pao.
No, I think it's run by Tencent or
Songjiang.
Alibaba or something. I cannot.
Hey, where's Jack Ma? He's been MIA for 2 weeks. He's been gone.
I have to look this up now because I cannot remember.
And he's been scrubbed from his own reality show. Did you know about that? Mm-hmm. Dude, tell us about Jack Ma, because you know what's up.
Baidu. That's what it is. Baidu. Baidu is, in essence, right now, the Google of China.
Oh, I knew that, because I got an ad for Baidu. Hey, how come there's a lot of Chinese things that run concurrently alongside our podcast show? Are we pretty popular there? Because I just Googled us, and what's funny about that is...
You Googled us?
Oh, yeah, because I got to get our opening song. You know, there's a lot of, like... Yeah, man.
We got a lot of Chinese results?
Well, there's just a lot of live Chinese shows that are right next to us.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah. Like, not aghast, but... Oh, I was on the Netflix approved thing. Sound guys, like, there's, like... Huang Zhang 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 fighting, and then live TNN dung 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 dung, and then like another one's just Chinese characters 2020 streamed 6 days ago.
What?
Yeah.
Let me see this.
Yeah. See here? Look at all these things. See them?
Okay, you're on YouTube right now.
I am on YouTube.
I thought you were talking like basic Google. I was like, what?
No. But see them all?
Let's see.
Like,
so
there's like a lot of like you can watch the Senate, you can watch fighting with Chinese people, you can watch the TNN. Like
Chinese newscast. That's a Taiwanese newscast.
Do you see them all?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? Am I not?
And
okay.
Philippines. Interesting.
Oh, there goes my soda can.
Hopefully it was empty.
Yeah, but still.
But back to your point, though.
We're gonna leave that. We have to leave the housekeeping a couple bucks for trouble.
But back to your point with like Jack Ma and everything like that.
Yeah, where'd he go?
There's this goes down an infamous rabbit trail and everything. But basically, when you look into communism in China, or as they like to say, socialism with Chinese characteristics, when it comes to power struggles, currently there is a massive power struggle between the current leader of China, Xi Jinping, versus a former leader, Jiang Zemin. And so the two factions have been kind of going at each other.
Okay.
Jiang Zemin, he was around in the 90s and everything. He's the one that really was instrumental with the Falun Gong persecution. And then Hu Jintao was just unfortunate. Hu Jintao really did nothing. He was not a powerful leader in comparison to the other four leaders of China. Xi Jinping, though, is very, very much in essence, I would say, trying to be the reincarnation of Mao Zedong. So he's in what we would call a princeling faction, which is a product of the one-child policy in China. Educational elite, grew up in the party, rose through the ranks very, very fast. He and Jiang Zemin, their two factions, have been battling against each other a lot. And so depending on where you are in the faction war, really can determine your standing in the Communist Party. So I don't know where Jack Ma is. Jackie Chan, he got in trouble with this also. For in China, I can't remember which faction he was siding with at one point, but it got to the point to where the Chinese Communist Party actually seized his home in Beijing. So it's things like that. If it was recently, then it must have been. I think that would have been he was in the Jiang Zemin faction rather than the Xi Jinping faction. But things like that. So Jack Ma being out of the bubble, and then of course right now there is actually a renewed rise, shall we say, of communism and socialism rising in China again. And so the people with a lot of money are being seen as very, very bad. And Jack Ma also being the founder of Alibaba, which is a very important website, very important company in China, being affiliated with Tencent, again, very, very important. China has recently just passed new legislation against monopolies, and they deemed Alibaba and Tencent as massive monopolies, and so their stocks plunged massively, big, massive jumps. So that also could be a thing with Jack Ma, where he's not necessarily in charge of those companies anymore, I think, but he still is a very, very influential person in China. I think he still is China's richest man alive. And so in a traditional communist state, that's extraordinarily bad.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. So you have a lot of political infighting going on. There's new legislation to destroy monopolies and try to, in essence, bring about capitalism, which is really weird. China's really opened up to capitalism. So it's things of that nature as well. And then China's trying to get more of its publicity back into a good light. Because of the coronavirus, there's a lot of blame against China. So you've been seeing Chinese media and Chinese propaganda really try to spin narratives. No, the virus didn't start in China. It started in America. It started in Italy. It started in...
anywhere else.
Everywhere, just not in Wuhan.
Sure.
It was a tourist. A tourist brought it to China. Things like that. And so we see that happening. And of course, many people may not know this, but there's actually a lot of... Chinese propaganda in America, which is funny.
Do tell.
Have you heard of the TV network Cgtn? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the China Global Television Network.
YouTube runs a little ticker below it that says, hey, this is a Chinese company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Chinese state media. It's the international form of the Chinese state media, and they are allowed, this is interesting, they are allowed in like press briefings and things of that nature in the White House and stuff. So they can go to the big companies. No American company can go to Chinese press briefings whatsoever. So they kind of play that card. They've been buying out. This is actually, I think, the best part. They will buy ad space in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, every major newspaper.
Yeah.
And they'll call it, they'll make it look like it's an actual full-blown article.
Right.
It's usually called the China Watch.
Sure.
Or China Daily, something like that. Mm-hmm. And they'll fill out this giant ad. They'll pay for it. And it's basically a giant ad that looks like a regular newspaper article. And so it really throws a lot of people off because it's a paid ad. So it's not something that's going to go through rigorous editing and overview. It just gets printed alongside the rest of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. So everyone's like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, well, it's the New York Times, it's the Wall Street Journal. It must be true. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so that's another way they really kind of rein things in.
That's how a couple chiropractors get their information out, too.
Yep.
It's actually a very tried and true method,
and it works
for marketing. And it's not a new way of doing things.
Yeah, but in essence, to bring it all the way back around to tech, get out of the minor political fields of battle here. When it comes to tech, I don't necessarily think China is going to be looking for the big tech companies. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing with China is they are the best at taking something and deconstructing it and rebuilding it into a form that they like. So Baidu, that's Google. Mm-hmm. Weibo is like Twitter.
Weibo.
Oh,
Weibo. Oh, okay. Because isn't Weibo something else?
I don't know what Weibos is, but Weibo, or I can never pronounce it correctly. I apologize. My Chinese is horrible. I have
Yes.
not been using it for the
Yes,
last
it is.
2 years. The Weibo, that's like Twitter. They have a Facebook copy. They have all these social media copies. So they don't need any of the American-made ones because they already have the copies of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for American companies, they see China as a big moneymaker because there's over 1 billion people in China.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, you sell this is always the case example since the 70s. You sell a T-shirt to every Chinese person for $10. You just made $10 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big profit margin.
I know. I really would love to find. That was what I was talking about Pops about a long time ago. How would you make something that's $1, cost you only 10 cents to make?
Yeah, and sell
Everybody needs it. The App Store kind of was for a moment there. Everyone was making apps.
And there's some good apps, and then there's some apps that
And
will
there's
never
some-
make money.
You spend $6.99 on something. You're like, this is what I need, and all of a sudden, you know what?
I don't need it.
I really didn't need this.
No.
So
But it's things like that. So I don't think big tech. I don't think China's looking into big tech. I think big tech in America would love to get into that Chinese market. But because China has all those copies, I don't think they will.
no, I see. And so a little bit of compromise on America's side of things.
Which has been happening. There's been big pushes to sacrifice things on the American side in order to try to get into the China market field. For example, now, this is very interesting actually. Remember when we had the big TikTok and WeChat battle over whether those should be banned or not? Last I checked my WeChat. It still works. Yes, I have a WeChat. Don't have a TikTok, but that's still around also. Those are still here. In Reno, Nevada, I went to a few restaurants that accept WeChat Pay and Alipay,
Okay.
which is extraordinarily rare for a lot of places,
Sure.
but those are starting to gain popularity. And so I think it's more likely we're not going to see like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter in China. Rather, we're going to see, and we already do, we're going to see Weibo and Baidu and the Facebook copycat in America beforehand.
So instead of us being there, they're here.
Yeah,
Period.
they're moving here.
Yeah.
And we already are starting to see that happen. A lot of Americans have WeChat accounts. A lot of Americans have Weibo accounts.
And I mean, and again, the harm in this is what?
The harm in it?
Yeah.
I mean, that depends on your level of trust in government and things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But also, again, the way I've always seen it, whatever you give someone is theirs to keep.
True.
So,
You may never get it back.
who are those people on that TV back there?
Not us.
Well, get them off, man. Gotta have the sound guys. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that really when it comes down to it, though, that would be, for me, it's ignorant of someone to be like, you know what? I don't know why you're selling my information. Well, they can do whatever they want with it because you gave it to them. I don't know. It's just kind of food for thought.
And in some cases, I think it's important for people to be safe with their information. I always discourage people, if you have friends in China that are part of a group that is being persecuted, you should not use any Chinese forms of social media or stuff like that, because then it's getting dangerous. But, if you're fine with China, China's going to get your information as soon as you download WeChat, as soon as you make a Weibo, you're going to give China your information, just like you give America your information. The American government, under the Patriot Act, is constantly surveying and listening in on everything. So, it's already happening in America. It's happening in China. there's really no massive difference except the persecution level, I would say. Those are probably the biggest differences. There's one funny, this is actually a little funny bit. So in China, you have the Great Firewall. The Great Firewall of China. It's
I get it.
designed to keep people in.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be able to jump the wall out of China.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this has definitely been the China edition of
this is one version of the China
this
edition.
is the China edition of the Sound Guys.
Yes.
Well, I've found it insightful enough because I've been able to update the drivers on my laptop while we've been having this conversation. That's been fascinating. I've been able to download. I got the card reader going. I got the power management installed. I was able to install the new chipset driver. And
Well, you got a lot of stuff done as I've just been
And
talking to myself.
yeah, I was listening. It was about China. I was there. And so then I installed the biometric driver. And here's something pretty cool. I did not know. This computer has an FM receiver.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I can listen to the radio on these things.
Good.
How about that? Ain't technology something? I mean, Jiminy Christmas. My approach to computers are I do a cold, clean install, and then I wait to see what I really need, and then I move from there. But I decided to look at my device manager and look at all the other pieces of hardware that weren't properly functioning. And I went through one by one to add them from Lenovo's website. And on some of those things was, again, my power management. So my battery is apparently supposed to last now 10 hours. How about that? And I can listen to the radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a case point example of what you could get done just by listening to us in the background.
Aghast.
Right?
All he did was listen to me rant about China and Chinese politics.
And we are...
Aghast.
I'm aghast.
He was able to get so much done just by listening to my voice.
Now, bear in mind, I'm not advocating that you have the automatic update. Turn that crap off. If you're getting the updates from Windows, stop it. Go over to the update settings, type in updates, and say Windows updates, and just keep on telling it, no, I will update later. But it doesn't stop you from, checking on those drivers.
There we go.
Well, I think they've invested another full hour. I can't tell
I
you
think they've
guys
used
how...
longer than an hour.
These have been long, I guess, but that's okay. They're insightful, they're comfortable, they're good times with good friends. We educate, we enlighten, and we entertain. You never know what you're going to get with these episodes, which is why we need you, the listener, to vote with your thumbs. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, and we'll do more of any of it. Because, really...
We will go any which way possible.
Yeah,
right
this
now.
is a mutual relationship. We want you as much as you want us.
You know what's been our most popular episode so far?
Tell me.
It was our one that we talked about the planes. You had a huge thing about the Max 38,
yeah,
Max 380.
the Boeing Max. Yeah, 738 or
738,
whatever.
yep. So that episode where we talked about the planes, we talked about the election at the very beginning, and we talked about aquapods.
Ugh. Aquapods.
Those are
What a
what we
joke.
Those are what we talked about at the very beginning. That was like our 5th episode we ever did.
Wow.
That has
Most
been the
popular.
That's been the most popular so far.
Well, there we go, guys. So then if you want us to talk more about planes and fads from the 90s, boy, we know all about those two things.
We could make
But
those things
we are
happen.
the sound guys, so regardless however you slice it, we can also talk about sound, too.
Yeah.
I'm tired, Nick.
You tired? Is it
Yeah.
time for your bed?
No, I need to take a shower first. I don't go to bed before taking a shower. That's
Oh.
another moment of transparency. Like we talked about in the previous episode, I like to share with our viewers a little bit about us. For me, and comment, let us know. You don't go to bed dirty and sweaty, and that's disgusting. You go to bed clean. Take a shower, go to bed, clean sheets, clean body.
Do you take showers in the morning also?
Absolutely. If time allows, 9 times out of 10, I'm showering in the morning as well. It's a 2 shower a day kind of situation. Because then you can wake up, get in the shower, have your coffee while you're in the shower. That's important. That's a very important note. Hot coffee, black hot coffee in the shower, and stretch. Take that moment, count 20 seconds, count. For those that are listening, I lift my hands, count 20 seconds. I go to the right, count 20 seconds. You got to bend down, count 20 seconds. Oh, it's very therapeutic. Wakes you up, have a sip of coffee, then you get out, you poop, and then you hit the day. Sometimes if you didn't eat, you don't. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's a good idea to take the kids to the pool. But
Take the kids to the pool?
correct.
And
Browns to the Super Bowl.
That ain't happening.
No, well, if you don't eat, which is great. I mean, because honestly, that's the best weight loss. But you can tell here. I mean, I'm just crawling out of my clothes. Like it's just like, it's like Britney Spears out of rehab.
You didn't shave your head though.
Well, this is true. That was a quick comeback. That was way quicker than I was expecting. For a moment, I had to think. That was, wow, good for you. That was very good. Very snappy.
I try sometimes.
Very quick. That's rare. We're like, what, 10 episodes in? And you're like, wow. Give him a kudos, man. If anything, give us some money on Patreon for that quick quip. That was great.
Or a Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you give us a full Bitcoin?
You know who you are because we're talking directly to you about this.
One coin is all it takes for us to love you for life. Anyways, I love how you're still snacking on the Popeyes from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's still here.
It's delicious.
It's not moldy.
No, that stuff never molds.
Yeah, preservatives,
that.
baby.
It's all the Cajun seasoning.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think that should do it, man. I mean, we literally have invested a full hour, well over a full hour with these guys, and we're so happy you made it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We are this. Oh, wait, that's right. You got to sell your stuff. Nick, sell the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. If you're listening to this on a podcast, please rate it, review it, leave a comment of how much you loved it and what you would like to hear from us on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Ding, ding.
So that you will always be alerted when we have a new episode ready to go for you.
Ha-cha. Sound effects.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I am the wonderful, reliable, and always amazing Neighborhood Nick.
I'm Crispin Smith.
Thank you for joining us today. Take us out.
With the sound, guys.
Boom.
Bye-bye.
Click.